Hi guys, so in today's video, I wanted to come on here, as you can see by the title. I got COVID after getting the vaccine, and I wanted to do this video because I did do a video prior to this about my experience getting the COVID vaccine, and now I've actually had a breakthrough case, and I got COVID even after about 4 months after receiving the vaccine. And I know there's a lot of news out there right now about the Delta variant, mutations going on, a lot of breakthrough cases. And in my life personally, I know a few people who have also had a breakthrough case, but I also know people who know other people and heard other stories of people getting breakthrough cases. So it's definitely out there, and I kind of wanted to share with you guys kind of like my situation, what happened, like how I think I got COVID, and then just like all the kind of just like walking through with you guys like what happened. So I'll list my video up above, the video that I was explaining, and I showed you guys me getting my second shot and all the side effects and everything. But up until the point when I actually got the vaccine, I did not get COVID. I was staying very safe, you know, like everything was locked down. And I was pretty much like, you know, social distancing, all the works, never received COVID prior to getting the vaccine. And I got the vaccine in March. So from there, I would say around end of May, June, that's when things started really opening up. A lot of more people were getting vaccinated. And that's when, you know, I started like, you know, everything was already opening up, so it was like allowed to see your friends and go to restaurants and go to bars, and so I was definitely taking full advantage of it. I was going out to the city probably like every weekend, maybe twice a weekend, you know, seeing my friends, going out to bars, doing like picnics and going to people's houses. Like, it was almost like things were like back to normal pretty much. And, you know, I was vaccinated, so I was, you know, feeling like I was safe. Fast forward to around 4th of July weekend, me and Connor decided to go down to LA. July 9th is when we met up with our friends who live down in LA. So we went out to a bar with a group of friends, and then that night it kind of like split up into two groups. Me becoming more of a grandma, so me and my group, we kind of went back to the apartment, and then the other group actually went to another club. The next day we all kind of got back together, and that was Saturday, and then we were hanging out together all Saturday, and then Sunday we didn't see any of the people and we flew out. Coming back home, I would say on Monday I could feel like kind of like a tickle in my throat. It started just feeling kind of scratchy, and for me that's when I know I'm getting sick. Like, that's like the first indicator that I'm getting sick, is usually like I get like a tickle in my throat. So I was like, okay, like makes sense. I was on vacation all of last week. I was staying out late, drinking. Like, I'm probably getting sick. So I was eating emergency, trying to fight it before it got to like an actual sickness. Tuesday felt pretty much the same, pretty normal, but I still had that itch and that tickle in my throat. Wednesday comes along, and I could tell like I was sick. Like, I was so tired, incredibly tired. I felt really achy all over. Like, I just felt like I had no energy whatsoever. High fever. I don't have like a thermometer, but I could tell like I was like boiling. Like, Connor was like coming in and like feeling my forehead and everything. So definitely had a fever. Just like I was just bedridden. I had like a cough. I had a stuffy nose. Like, I felt just so sick. But again, thinking I'm vaccinated, COVID didn't pop into my mind. I'm thinking like I got the flu or something. That day I didn't eat anything either. Like, I just lost my appetite. Not that I was feeling nauseous, but I just felt like I just wasn't hungry, and I just like didn't want to eat. I just wanted to sleep it off. Thursday comes along, and I wake up and I still feel awful, which is definitely different for me. I was like, this is not usually me getting a cold, and I was like, maybe I haven't been sick in a really long time, so it's just like full force like coming at me. Still had the same symptoms, stuffy nose, just so tired, really achy all over, high fever, and just honestly just bedridden. So that night I felt like I really needed to eat something. Like, I was just constantly just drinking water, and that's all I really wanted, but I was like, I need fuel to like fight this. So I decided to make split pea soup, and while I was eating it, I was like, I don't really know if I can taste this. Like, it actually occurred in my head, like, I don't think I taste this at all. Like, I could tell it was salty, but like that was it, like the texture, and I was like looking at it. So I think in your head you kind of know what split pea soup tastes like, but I was like really actually thinking about it. I'm like, I don't think I taste this. And my nose was really stuffy, so I just assumed it was like because I couldn't like smell, like my nose was backed up. Like, you know how your like nose is really connected to your taste, so I was like, maybe it's just that. I was like telling Connor, I'm like, I might have COVID. Like, aren't these the symptoms of COVID? And he's just like, you do not have COVID. Like, you're overreacting, everything. So I'm like, yeah, I'm probably overreacting. So next day I wake up and I feel so much better, but not completely like fully recovered. But I definitely felt like I had a little bit more energy. I didn't feel like as like hot or like fever wise, but I definitely still had like kind of just like congestion in my head. And the weird thing is that this was like a sensation I've never really had before, but throughout the next couple of days when I was breathing in, if I breathed in really hard through my nose, I felt like it was like when you get water up your nose, that like sharp, like intense kind of, it's kind of painful, but it's more just like a sharp feeling in your like forehead area. I would feel that if I like breathed in too hard, or if I breathed like just sporadically would happen whenever I breathed through my nose. So I was like, this is kind of strange. Like, I've never had this sensation before while I was sick. From there, I started eating again and I lost my taste. Like, I was like, I'm pretty sure I do not taste any of this, and I think it might be because my nose is still congested. So again, me thinking like I probably don't have it. That is Friday night. So Friday night is when we get a text from our friends that we saw in LA, and they were like, hey, just want to let you know, like, I was sick all week and I got tested and I'm positive for COVID. And I'm just like, no freaking way. Like, I for sure have COVID. Like, I got COVID. Like, what the heck? Saturday morning was when I got my COVID test. But up until this point, like, I was just like, no way. And what they told me, like our friends told us, is that a bunch of people from the club that I didn't go to on Friday night and they went to got COVID that night. Or not they got it that night, but a lot of people from that club got it. So I'm like, they probably got it from there. And then they saw me the next day and then gave it to me. I'm like, great. Now, up until this point, me and Connor, we were together the whole weekend. We were together, like, when we were with our friends in LA the whole time. We lived together. So up until this point, he has not showed any symptoms. Like, he was completely fine. Here I am, like, bedridden. So we both decided to get tested on Saturday because we both were encountering those people. And when we got tested, we told them kind of like the situation, like when they asked you those questions. And usually I'm like, no. I don't even like listen to the questions half the time because I know the answer is like no. But I mean, this time around when they're like, have you like been exposed to someone in the past 7 days who was tested positive for COVID? And I'm like, yep. First time I had to say yes in this like drive-through testing facility. The person like asking all these questions, she recommended me getting, or both of us, to get the PCR test, which takes a little bit longer to get results because we were hoping just to get like a rapid one. But the PCR is supposed to be a lot more accurate than the 15-minute rapid ones. So we actually asked to get both of them. They were like fine with it. So we actually got both the rapid COVID test and the PCR. So we do like the test, and it's 2 different swabs. We got 2 different tests, and it's just your basic, like, you go up your nose with the swab, circle 15 seconds on each one. We were told that they will get the results within like 2 hours, and usually they're actually pretty quick about it. We're waiting in the car and Connor gets a text message maybe like 30 minutes later after we got the test, and he tests negative. So I'm thinking like, you tested negative? Like, maybe I did just get a cold, because I'm like, there's no way I got this and you didn't. Like, there's just no way, because we were together with these people like the same amount of time. I just thought he was going to test positive and just be asymptomatic. So I was like a relief, but I still hadn't gotten my text message yet. And like 5 minutes passed, 10 minutes, and at this point, it just felt like when you are waiting for your admissions from college, all the people that got accepted to a school got like an email first, and then like an hour later, all the rejections came out. And that's exactly how I felt, like waiting for your admissions for college. Like, I was like, I got COVID. Like, there's no reason for them to delay giving me my results when they gave you yours at the, like, and we got our tests at the same time. And Connor, like, my sweet Connor, very optimistic, and he's just like, no, like, you don't know, like, this is around lunchtime, like, maybe they tested mine first, and then they went on lunch break, didn't test yours, so here I am just like, yeah, like, okay, there is that definite possibility, trying to be a little hopeful, but, like, I just knew, like, I got COVID. So then I finally get my text message, and lo and behold, it tests positive, and I just remember that moment, I just remember that moment, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, no way. Like, no way I got COVID. And what makes it even more weird is that Connor tested negative. And I was just like, what are the odds? So immediately when I get my test results, 5 minutes later, the CDC, or I think one of the women from the testing facility calls me, and she was telling me, like, kind of like the basic procedures that I need to quarantine at home for the next 10 days. It's 10 days from when you started experiencing symptoms. So she was asking me, like, when did you start seeing symptoms? Which for me was like on, I would say Tuesday, because that's when I started getting that scratchy throat. They told me I had to stay at home for 10 days and quarantine, and not to be exposed to, like, not to expose yourself to any people. And if you live with people at home, to try to separate yourselves. So when we got home, me and Connor pretty much did our best to quarantine myself from him. We do live in the same house, so it was very difficult for us to, like, not be in contact with each other. We slept in separate rooms. I usually cook dinner for the both of us. I wasn't cooking him dinner. We tried not to be in the same room at the same time. So, like, when we were talking to each other on the couch, like, we were on, like, complete opposite sides of the couch. So, you know, it was definitely, like, a weird experience, but it was really helpful just, like, having him there, and he really took the, you know, the lead on getting, like, groceries and everything. And that day when we found out he was negative, he went out and got, like, all the groceries, and we bought, like, a ton for the rest of the week, because, you know, like, who knows, like, when the next time we would be able to go out. I would say about 2 days later, Connor started experiencing symptoms, and the exact same thing happened to him. So I definitely, like, I know we were trying to do our best to keep our distance from each other, but I did end up giving him COVID. He lost his taste, he lost his smell, and he got, like, a high fever and everything like that. I would say on Sunday, I was feeling a lot better. I was still feeling congested in my head and definitely, like, a little bit tired, but, like, not, like, to the point of, like, I wouldn't go out if I knew I wasn't sick, but obviously I was in quarantine. Those couple of days, you know, I'd really just stayed at home. Luckily, I am working from home anyways, so I was able, you know, I didn't have to, like, not go into work or anything. I still continued to work while I was feeling better the next couple of days. And then in terms of losing my taste and smell, I would say taste and smell, I lost it on Wednesday, and then I started getting it back on the following Tuesday. I think the taste and smell for me is the thing that I've never experienced before in my life, and how just trippy it is. Like, you're sniffing things constantly, and you're like, I literally cannot smell this. And when you're tasting things, you can tell things are, like, salty, sweet, smoky, but, like, outside of that, maybe even vinegary, like, tangy, but, like, outside of that, like, you can't taste, like, the flavors of anything. My favorite things to eat were salty, like, textural things. So, like, chips, carrots, like, things that were really crunchy and just satisfying and salty. Like, that's what I gravitated to. So, like, the next couple of days when I lost my taste and smell, I was just trying to eat as healthy as possible, but, like, all I wanted were tortilla chips, like, salty tortilla chips. I would literally put salt on tortilla chips. I will say, though, there were some foods I just found so disgusting, and one of them was bananas. I thought bananas were so disgusting, and I love bananas, first of all, but they just tasted like mushy, and I could tell that they're sweet, but they don't taste like banana, so just like a mushy, kind of awkwardly sweet thing. My favorite things to eat, again, were the chips and crunchy things, but I also really liked plums and jazz apples, because jazz apples are, like, kind of tangy, but they're sweet, and they're crunchy, so they have a good, like, mouth feel. Like, yeah, those were like the things I were definitely eating. And that Monday, I got a call from the CDC. They called me explaining like, you know, like you need to quarantine 10 days from when you started experiencing symptoms. Do not leave the house. I will say nobody checked on me throughout the whole quarantine experience. Like no government facility came to my apartment to check up on me or anything like that. They did call me though saying like, do you have means to like food and groceries? And I said yes, but I am just very curious to know like if I had said no, like would they ship things to me? But I'm not in a position where I feel like I need to take like free groceries or anything like that. So I said no. And then the other thing that was interesting is they said that they can offer a shelter if I have people living in my house with me that don't feel comfortable. Again, I also said no to that because in my head I'm like, are you gonna just like, am I just gonna have to go to like a gym with like a bunch of other people who tested like positive for COVID? So like, I again, like these are the things that like I've experienced and these are in my position. But if you do test COVID and you know the CDC is offering to give you groceries or shelter, like do not feel, you know, like bad if you have to say yes to any of those things. Like I'm just in a position where like financially I don't need, I can pay for my groceries at this time, so I'm not going to take advantage of that. The other thing that was really scary for me was telling people that I got COVID, and I was actually like, you know, really ashamed and kind of like embarrassed to tell people that I got it. I told my family and friends obviously because my mom was supposed to hang out with me and I was supposed to be seeing my family. I had to cancel a bunch of different plans. I don't know, there's something about getting COVID I just felt really embarrassed by, and I really shouldn't feel embarrassed because I like took all the necessary precautions. Like it would be one thing if I wasn't vaccinated and then all of a sudden I get it and I'm like, oh my god, like everyone told me to get vaccinated, I didn't get vaccinated and I have COVID. But like I was vaccinated, like I was, you know, taking my like precautions. You know, this pandemic isn't over. I was definitely one of the naive ones and thinking like I can go out now without a mask because I've been vaccinated and COVID I'm untouchable pretty much, and that's really not the case. I don't know if I had the Delta variant that's out there. I don't know if I just had normal COVID and just had a breakthrough case. I have no idea. Like I probably wouldn't know unless I got tested while I was still contagious and had COVID in my system. But regardless if it's the Delta or anything, like these are how viruses work. Like they have mutations, they have ways of, you know, like bypassing the vaccine and being able to infect you. I don't wish that any of you guys get COVID because it really, really, really sucked. I am very fortunate that, you know, I wasn't hospitalized or had one of the, like, the worst, like, more on the extreme cases that I've heard of. But, you know, it's still not something that, you know, you want to get. And I will leave a ton of articles, you know, about the Delta variant, about, you know, I got Pfizer, that vaccine, and I've already been reading articles that you need a booster if you have Pfizer. You know, just be like informed, be safe out there. And the other thing I was saying is that I have heard that if you are vaccinated, it makes the symptoms a lot less severe if you were to get exposed to COVID and somehow contract it. So I am kind of on the thankful side that I am vaccinated and my symptoms weren't like, you know, like making me go to the hospital or anything, because who knows, like if I wasn't vaccinated, like who knows, like if it could have been worse for me. I hope you guys found this like helpful, and for those of you who have questions regarding like my experience with COVID, I pretty much laid it out here, but if you have anything like you want to ask me, I am open to answering questions because I do want you guys to be informed, and I do want the world to be more informed and understand like what, like, that this thing is still out there. Like, it's still out there. I have a feeling we're going to go back into lockdown soon. Like, my office was supposed to open up in September. I don't think that's going to happen anymore due to all the breakdown cases that I've been hearing of. But stay safe out there. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!